Welcome back to For Mature Audiences Only, presented by Archer Law Office, the podcast where we break down complex aging, caregiving, and elder care topics into clear, practical guidance that you can actually use.
We're your hosts, Mary Shapiro
and Shannon Johnson,
Senior Resource Specialists at Archer Law Office. And each week we sit down with trusted professionals to help older adults and caregivers navigate real-life challenges with less stress and more confidence. If you're caring for an aging parent, supporting a loved one with a serious illness, or planning ahead for yourself, this is an essential conversation. This is For Mature Audiences Only, presented by Archer Law Office. Let's get started.
So here we are, Mare.
I can't believe it's the last episode.
The last episode of our first season. This has been such an awesome experience doing this podcast over the last couple months. It's been really, really cool.
It has been so much fun. You have been awesome to do this with.
You too.
We've had some great people on.
Yes, we have. Shout out to the guests that we have on. We had Carl Archer, managing partner of Archer Law Office, Annette Murphy, Spring Point Choice, Michelle Gadash with Ascend Hospice, Hannon Bearberg with Bayada Home Health, and Lisa Temperato, our director of Medicaid at Archer Law Office, who we actually had on for 2 episodes.
There was so much to unpack.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're probably going to have Lisa on for season 2 again to dive even deeper into Medicaid.
And I love Emily and Tara. That's Emily Barada, the dementia specialist, and Tara Scartocci with Care One East Brunswick Assisted Living. Amy Levine from Visiting Physicians. Kathleen Jodick, Senior Real Estate Specialist with Keller Williams. And we wrapped up with Austin Bremer with Bradley and Son Funeral Home and SimpleCreationNJ.com. A lot of good information.
I mean, if we can backtrack, the whole idea of why we started a podcast, I should say, is you and Randy Goldberg, shout out to Randy.
Shout out Randy.
Had a virtual series that you guys did via Zoom that was called Straight Talk, where you guys had someone come on and describe what they do in the senior living field.
Right,
So
we just wanted to build a platform of education, resources for professionals, and mainly for professionals, so we could share across with each other in senior living and other aspects. And we started that, shortly after COVID, because people weren't getting out.
Right.
How were people getting resources? We had a virtual platform. And then, Randy retired and is living her best life. And we just talked about what we could do with that and really transforming it to a podcast platform. I think has been successful.
Absolutely. And I have to give a special thank you to Carl, who really kind of let us take this and run with it.
Really?
He got us a producer. Shout out to our guy, Mike, that produces all of our episodes. That's live in the studio with us every episode. So we really, really want to thank Carl for allowing us to see the vision that we had and let us really take it and run with it and turn it into what it's became in this first season. It's been a lot of fun. It's allowed us to see our professional partners from kind of a different light and a different aspect, being here with them and asking them these questions and collaborating with them to also see what they think is important for us to discuss for our listeners.
I also think, too, a lot of the topics were heavy.
Right.
We were just talking about Austin's episode, and it's not easy conversations to have, but I think the platform has been lighter. We can approach it non-threatening. People can listen and get resources without feeling like they're being lectured to. I mean, the guests have been amazing.
Absolutely. And I feel like part of it is like you get to see more so of the human side in our guests versus them like giving a presentation to an audience where they're trying to sell their services.
Exactly.
It's been much more intimate, and we kind of dive into why are you doing this? Why are you here in the field? What's your favorite part about what you do? How do you help your families? And everybody had different answers, and it's all just been fantastic learning from what everyone does.
I love that we incorporated the why.
Yeah.
Because like you said, that humanized it. It's
Absolutely.
Not standing and giving a lecture. And everybody is really passionate and came to what they do for a reason. So it was great to hear their stories and explore that.
Definitely. I think, we could feel the passion from the folks that we had here during the interviews. And we hope that our listeners, when they're driving around in their car or listening to this at home, the idea that you can feel that same energy from them also, so that if the time ever comes for you to need one of their services, that, you're getting a friendly person on the phone that's just understands where you're at, where you are, and is willing to help you in whatever way they can.
What was I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you who your favorite guest was, but what was one piece of information for you that was your takeaway aha from one of the guests? Or it could be more than one.
I will say one of my favorite episodes was when we brought Annette Murphy on, because I think that the service that she provides can, I think, alleviate a lot of stress for a lot of families who maybe aren't in a position to be as hands-on with their loved one going through a crisis. I think having the ability to have a trusted geriatric care manager that knows every aspect of the field and is able to kind of do all of it for you, I think is a huge underutilized resource.
I agree. And I love their aging life care advisor moniker.
Right.
I think that elevates that position. You're right. People don't have sometimes loved ones nearby. It was great to learn about that resource.
And to take your question a step further, one of the things that we asked all of our guests was, if you could tell somebody how to start, how would you tell them how to start? And I think their answers to that were all different, but all fit kind of what they need, what the service they provide fits it kind of perfectly with how to go about it.
Absolutely. I know for me, I loved, my hospice background, I love dispelling the hospice myths with Michelle Gadache from Ascend. I think, again, difficult conversations, but important ones that you can start talking about end of life, but what palliative is versus hospice. I think people still have a lot of misunderstanding about it. So that was one of my favorite conversations to dig into.
And having somebody like Emily Barada from Care One on, to have someone that is literally trained and works solely focused on dementia care and dementia-related residents, I think that helps open up families' eyes to the sources that are out there for them if their family's going through something like that.
You're right. And I think, and hearing from Tara as well about senior living, talking about the Care One experience, just so many things that families I don't think realized until they heard from them.
Right. There's so many resources. Everyone's role that we interviewed is so unique. Like somebody like Kathleen, who's you wouldn't think
that was a big education for me.
A senior real estate specialist that has a background, 20 plus years as an admissions director in a rehab. So she understands the crisis that families are in. So she's able to kind of bring them in and kind of help them deal with that and give them resources that they can go to with assisted livings and home cares and hospices, but then also being able to sell their home as a part of that too. So being able to incorporate kind of her whole wealth of knowledge into her role is very, very cool.
She has such a background. And I think I said it on the episode. I did not even realize senior real estate specialist was a thing.
Right.
That was a special certification that so if you are working with a family member who has to downsize and move to senior living, it really is beneficial to have somebody specialized in that real estate market.
And I'm thinking of some of our other guests like Hannah Berenberg with Bayada Health, who, they have in their home care company, they will help you walk you through your long-term care policy, which a lot of people have those, but they don't necessarily know what the language in it means.
How to trigger it, how to start it.
How to go about actually being able to use it, as another resource for yourself that, can just help people, can help tone down the crisis that they're going through, and help them just get through it a little bit easier.
And the education between what is called skilled home care versus private pay.
Right.
I think she did a great job in explaining both to help families understand what really is covered under Medicare or insurance on the home care side, and then what people pay privately for.
Right.
I think people will be surprised at both.
Absolutely.
When they listen to that.
And I also love about our episodes aren't like an hour and a half long each. We tried and find our sweet spot between like that 30, 40 minute range. So it could be on your drive home from work or your drive into work when you're, going to pick your kids up, whatever. It's a nice quick episodes that have a lot of information in all of them. And to be honest, they all could have probably been an hour and a half had we really wanted to take it there with them. But, you want to find that happy medium for people.
We wanted to get at the nuts and bolts of what the information was we wanted them to get across.
Right. So thank you to all of our guests that came on this season. It was a blast interviewing all of them, and really cool for you and I to have our own dialogue back and forth, and then to have the conversations afterwards about, I think our client that we have might actually be able to benefit from this person's service.
So many people we discussed, even our own clients, that, it makes us think differently about. They could use this service. Maybe they could use a visiting physician after Amy's episode. So many great resources.
Absolutely. One of the main things I think we wanted to get out of this was the pre-planning stage of things, right? If you
don't wait for the crisis.
Don't wait for the crisis to happen. There's 12 episodes of resources that we have for you out there available for you to be able to go and take care of things before a crisis hits, so that when one does, God forbid, things are already in place and you kind of already have an idea of, okay, mom might need this or dad might need this, and you kind of already know who you can turn to.
You're right. I think if people listen to all the episodes, they can tell the running theme for all of them is pre-plan.
Right.
Think ahead.
Right.
Don't wait till the last minute. I should have done this sooner. I think almost every guest used some version of that phrasing that they hear from their families and patients.
Yeah, that was probably the common theme with season 1 is plan ahead, don't wait, take the necessary steps, have the uncomfortable conversations now. Even though they're tough, none of us want to have them, but they're necessary, because the last thing that you want to be doing when you have a loved one in crisis is scrambling and trying to figure out, where's the will? Where's the power of attorney? Do they have a healthcare proxy? All these things. And we know from experience, if you have a loved one that goes into a hospital or a rehab setting, a lot of times they're just giving you a list of services to call.
Here, pick one.
Right. And, you want to be able to kind of know who's what,
who's trusted,
exactly.
Who's a trusted professional? Who's going to fit the needs of your loved one?
Right. You want to be able to call and say, hey, can I speak to Hannah from Bayada Home Health, or can I speak to Michelle Gadash?
Exactly.
I want to learn about hospice services, So there's a lot there's a lot of stress that could be taken off of you from simple pre-planning. And that's something that we always push to not just our professional partners, but to all of our clients. Please do the due diligence yourself. And, you do it once, you don't have to worry about it again.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I think I said in the episode about the documents, mine's in a drawer.
Right.
We know where it is.
Right.
But I just am secure and feel safe. It's there. It's done.
Same with ours.
Same thing with you.
Yep. Ours is in the lockbox. The people that we need to know where it is, know where it is. If God forbid something happens, and they know kind of what we would like to have happen in the event something happened to either my wife or myself. So
it's true.
It's just a underrated thing. I think people take it for granted too much. And you never know. Tomorrow's not promised for any of us, right?
No.
None of us ever, you can't see a crisis coming. So you're better off getting ahead of it and making sure that things are in place if in the event something does happen.
I think it was a good point in the conversation with Austin from Bradley and Son Funeral Home was the fact that if you were in a situation with somebody that nothing was planned and you were catching up and having to work in crisis without anything, that the folks that were involved with that are the pre-planners now. Because they saw what happens when nothing's in place, you didn't pre-plan anything. That, folks who experience that have now are the planners, are the ones who are hopefully doing their documents, talking to their loved ones, getting their ducks in a row for all aspects of their lives.
Austin's episode hit home a little bit differently because all these other things are great to pre-plan, but nobody wants to have the funeral conversation.
Nobody wants to talk about it. I don't think people realize, too, you can pre-plan that.
Absolutely. Pre-plan it, get it out the way, get over and done with. We were just saying, my wife's grandfather had his plot since the 70s. You do it once, you don't have to worry about it ever again until, and even when you do, by the time he's going in, he's already gone. He doesn't even have any idea of what's going on. But from personal experience, my family, nobody in my family really pre-plans their funerals. So whenever somebody passes away, it's always this chaos about, well, no, he would have wanted this at his funeral, or no, he would have wanted that, or he would want to wear this in his casket, so you just
so challenging.
And it is challenging and it creates conflict amongst the family.
Sure. And there's stress when it's already stressful.
Correct. So just alleviate all those things, have those tough conversations, and get it done and don't worry about it anymore.
I love Austin's takeaway of just write 3 things down.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just write out 3 things for yourself and tell somebody.
And something that Carl had a presentation last night that we were talking about, and he brought about a good point when he was giving his talk to the library that we were at, is when you go and have these conversations with these professionals, have some sort of goals in mind.
Right.
Come to me and say, okay, I want to do my estate so that my kids can get X, Y, and Z. You know, I want to get my mom back to this baseline potentially when you're going to a home care service, or I want to, if you're dealing with someone like Kathleen, you know, I want to help move my mom to X place. You know, have a plan already going into it so that they can help you achieve your goals also, so that way you're not just kind of just shooting in the dark and they're not telling you what they think you should do. You know, you're the expert in yourself. Have some goals in line when you're going to speak to these professionals.
That's a great point. Know what you need on some level.
Right. I have to say again, one of the reasons that our podcast, I think, is so as successful as it is in season 1 is because we had our guy, Mike. We talked about him in the beginning of our podcast, but Mike is our producer that's been in here with us on every episode. He's helped us really, really outline like a script for our episodes and how to do an interview with someone, how to have conversations. He checks us for sound. He helps us redo things when we get them wrong and when we don't sound right. So Mike has been really, really, he's just as much a part of this as you and I are. Absolutely.
I specifically told him today I have been consciously not calling him Magic Mike. But what he does is magical.
Absolutely.
He's made all of us sound amazing.
Absolutely. Because even when we interview some of our guests, they're like, oh my God, I said so many times in the thing. And then they listen and they're like, I didn't hear me say not one time in the episodes. Like, shout out to our guy, Mike.
That's it.
Shout out to our guy for making sure that everyone sounds great and that our podcast or in our episodes have a good flow to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And doing the other pieces in terms of getting us up on all the platforms.
Right, absolutely. We're on all the socials. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. And Mike is really, really the driving force behind all that. And, you know.
And a shout out to Don Silvernail.
Who does our
also, internet.
And our website. And
our socials as well.
Absolutely. Because, you know, we've been able to see some of the numbers and we love the feedback we've seen as far as people listening in different countries and different cities.
Yes,
it's very, very cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's very cool to know that somebody in Singapore
I know.
heard what we had to say about senior living. Yeah, you know?
Exactly.
So it's really, really been an enjoyable experience on all facets. It's been great quality time for you and us to spend together also. We have these conversations when it comes to our clients pretty often, but this has really, really helped give us even more ideas on ways to help our clients.
What I love too is it's introduced, I know me, to some new providers that I didn't know about.
Right.
Because we kind of combined our resources of our professional partners. And it was such a pleasure meeting Kathleen. I had heard about her name forever. It was great to meet her in person. I even said to Austin, it's great to meet you in person because I've seen his podcast video. I've, read his socials and such, but never got to meet them in person as a resource.
It's so interesting how the networks work where, we're all connected to each other online. You feel like you know everyone's kids and their life story because you see it all posted online, but then you realize I've never actually sat down with you in person. I never sat down with Hannah Berenberg.
Right.
I never sat down with Annette Murphy. And that really was I've known Michelle for years and I've talked to Michelle a number of times, but that was my first time sitting with Michelle Gadash and having like an in-depth conversation about hospice. And you can just feel
her passion.
You could just feel it rubbing off of her with her personal experiences and how she just wants to help anybody and everybody. So it's been cool to connect with people that you haven't seen or haven't met before.
I totally agree. And I also want to give another big shout out to Carl, our fearless leader, because this is an investment.
Absolutely.
We didn't do this lightly. We had to do our research. We had to, build our proposal to him. And he took the chance to let us run with this. And the numbers have shown that it's been increasing our socials, which has been great.
Right.
Meaning people are actually accessing the information about it. So again, a big thank you to Carl Archer for supporting this venture.
It's crazy to think about. I think we started talking about this in January of 25.
I know.
As Randy was kind of gearing up for retirement. And we talked about what are we going to do with Straight Talk?
Yeah.
Well, let's see what we can do about it. And So this has really been in the works since January of 2025. Here we are now in the summer of 2026. And look at how much we've done.
Recording the end.
Right.
It's amazing.
Right. And, we had a lot of pre-production meetings with Mike.
Yes.
Before we finally started doing things, and we collaborate with the interviewees that we have on and ask them for feedback on the questions that we provide for them and ask them to add. So it's really been truly a team effort in all facets of it.
And I want to give another shout out to Lisa Temperato, our director of Medicaid and chief operating officer. We had her back twice.
Yeah.
We sat down. She gave us her time twice. And I think the Medicaid information she shared was so important. And I fully expect for season 2 that we have her back to go over other aspects of it, because
Absolutely.
There's so much to dive into with that.
There's so much information with Medicaid that could be an entire season series in and of itself, with the different things that go into it and things that. And shout out to our Medicaid team at our firm that does a lot of hard work for our clients. Also, that's definitely another part that needs to be for surely highlighted and talked about more, because eventually. Well, not eventually, but most people eventually will need that, So it's something that people need to be.
People realize how much goes into it.
Exactly.
And Lisa did a great job sharing that. But you're right. Shout out to the Medicaid specialists, because I see the piles on their desks. And
Absolutely.
That's a lot.
Absolutely. If you've never seen a Medicaid application, for our listeners out there, one Medicaid application is about one box of printer papers full of documents.
Right.
So
you're talking 5 years.
So if you think about doing yourself, you may want to reconsider it and go to your trusted professionals that are experts at doing it, because it is a lot that go into it, and you don't want to miss anything. We do a forensic accounting. There's a lot that goes into that whole process itself. So it was cool to, we work with Lisa, but it's cool to hear her really dive deep into like the intricacies of what her and that department does.
What surprised you during the course of doing the podcast? Did anything kind of come up for you that either with guests or even with the podcast process?
Well, the first thing that I could think of is how nervous I was.
I know. I did not expect that.
That was the first thing that caught me off guard, because I've done this before with my friends, but it was about sports and stuff. So I think with that, it was a little bit easier for me, because I love sports. But when it came to this, wanting to ask the right questions, I thought was a bit of a trick for me to find. How can I make sure our audience is engaged, but also, keep the questions a little bit different so that we can have enough content to make it through an entire episode.
And to have it be interesting.
Right.
So it leads to some stories. It leads to anecdotes.
Right.
That's a great one. I'm with you on that. I did not expect to worry so much about my voice when we recorded. But again, shout out to Mike.
And again, like everyone that came in was nervous to start off, until we got like 5 minutes into the conversation.
Yes.
And by episode 2 for us, when Carl came on, I felt like we were a little bit more on the money,
starting to get in our flow,
able to finish each other's sentences, kind of know where each other was going with the questions, and we just kind of fed off of each other, and it was cool to see it start from what it was to kind of where it became now, where I felt like in our last episode, we're just like professionals asking questions and, not fumbling over our words and being able to kind of know how we want it to be done. So it's been a great experience.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I have.
Right. And,
so
actually, we recorded our first episode. We listened to it and then said, no, we got to do this over again. Because we sounded so nervous.
Stilted and reading off a script.
Reading off the paper. And it sounded like we were reading off of a paper to each other. And now it sounds like we're just sitting across from each other having a
cup of coffee.
Yeah, a cup of coffee conversation like you and I do every day on a regular basis. So
exactly.
We're looking forward to bringing on, collaborating with each other and our professional partners to bring on more guests, because the response has been a lot of people that are trying to bring ideas on what they think could be beneficial to talk to on the podcast.
Absolutely.
So that's been cool to see.
Other aspects that we haven't even touched on yet.
Right. We haven't touched on skilled nursing facilities. We haven't had anyone we want to bring on an LNHA, a nursing home administrator. We want to have one of them come on the podcast. And there's a number of different avenues that we plan on diving into season 2. And we're looking forward to having you all here along the ride, having Mike come back and make us sound great. We're really looking forward to the future here with for mature audiences only. And shout out to Carl
for
giving us
came up with the
name that we thought. So like I said, it's been just a team effort from the moment that we came up with this idea.
It's been a great experience.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys in season 2. This is Shannon Johnson.
This is Mary Shapiro.
See you guys soon. If you found this episode helpful, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone that it could benefit.
Just remember, you don't have to navigate aging or caregiving alone.
If today's conversation raised questions about elder law, long-term care, or planning ahead, please visit jerseyelderlaw.com or call 609-842-9200 to find resources and support.
This is for mature audiences only, presented by Archer Law Office. Until next time, keep pushing forward and keep the conversation going.